know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Google signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy Janlutis, and as you can see here, we have an incredible guest for you. I hope that you have seen him on our other episodes before, because truthfully, guys, this week he has been going through some health struggles. And if you've watched our past episodes, we've gone over what those health struggles are. We've gone over his mentality, his mindset to get through those struggles. But today we were just connecting. I didn't really intend on recording this video, but considering we just talked for the last hour on different forms of healing, different belief systems, we'll say, different forms of mindset to allow us to grow and allow us to let go of the stressors that allow our body to heal even further. It was such a deep conversation, guys. We wanted to hop on record right now for you so you can take this into your own life. So, guys, we've got Jack Sernett here, an incredible speaker. He is helping people. He's speaking to audiences. At the same time, he's growing himself just as I'm growing myself in the areas that we need to make sure we are bringing everything we need to inspire audiences, to motivate audiences, to help us all grow in the forms that we need to. In saying that, guys, I thank you for being here. Please like this message, subscribe to our channel, and let's dive into it. Jack, I thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah, Billy, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know why, but now, for the first time in the last hour since we've been talking, I remembered 2 or 3 podcasts ago, I looked like a peacock. I had bright blonde, foo-foo-y hair, like sticking up like that, and then now I look kind of normal. So I look more like you now. So there you go.
There you go. Right?
That's so awesome. Funny. I didn't realize that you started talking. I was looking at myself for a second, make sure I'm in the middle. I'm like, oh, wow, I look a lot different 2 or 3 episodes ago.
That's honestly so. I didn't even connect those dots either. You're right. You did have some blonde hair going the last time we got together.
It was a mess. Yeah.
But let's dive into what we were just going over, Jack, because it's such an impactful message for people. Give them the backstory. You spent Monday. We were going to record, and you spent Monday in the hospital, actually.
Yeah. So, this is not like a woe is me situation. This is just a reality. So you and I were supposed to record on Monday. I ended up texting you I'm in Central Time, so like 5:40 my time, and I got to the hospital that morning at 3:30 a.m. dealing with some bladder stone issues, and I've got a abdominal tube, and that wasn't working. And when that doesn't work, I can't function like a human, so it's an urgent emergency situation. And so I was in there for most of that day, so a lot of stuff got thrown off, and then that got us scheduled to today. And the reflection that we've had over the past hour about that has been fascinating. And I think one thing that I think is cool is, we talked about this, whether it's you on your podcast or on your show, or you when you're talking to your clients, or me when I go to a speaking gig or talk with my clients. I think a lot of times people are just expect us to have everything buttoned up and like we are totally healed, and everything we talk about and we teach and we preach is stuff we've mastered. And that obviously is not the case. We are good at it, and we I feel like we can speak from experience, and we are not hypocrites. We practice what we preach, but it doesn't mean we don't have our own battles, right? And so it was nice to be able to be transparent with you, who have known, I don't know how long we've known each other now, 2-3 years, something like that.
It's gotta be like 3 years or so for sure.
Yeah. So despite having probably more experience than 99% of the humans on dealing with health issues in the hospital, there are still visits that are so unpredictable and unexpected. I'm very self-aware. I catch myself. I'm like, God, I'm struggling with this right now. Not just physically, but more of like the mental, emotional, kind of like, oh, this is not manly, like we were talking about side of things. So it's been interesting and very refreshing to be able to be transparent in that way. And I think, you know this, Billy, like obviously like authenticity, no matter what form it's in, is key. That's the highest, like, in my opinion, the highest form of frequency we can be is authenticity. So I definitely thought when we first started talking about an hour ago, when you asked me, hey, how's it going? For a split second, I'm like, I'm just going to kind of give him the basic bullshit answer. But you know what I mean? It's just, right. I think it is our job as individuals in the people industry, the service industry, the health field, to be honest, transparent, and help the audience as much as possible by sometimes being raw and authentic ourselves.
For sure. Oh, I echo that. And I appreciate you being as real and honest as you are, because that's, to me, that's what people get from you. And if there are
Right.
speakers out there, if there are coaches out there, whatever, and you're trying to put the mask on, eventually that mask is going to fall off and you aren't going to like what's behind it. But if you're your true, real, authentic self in whatever area of life, people listen right now, you take this as, be your true self and you welcome in what's meant for you. You wear the mask, you might get to a level, but then, it comes back to that old phrase, fake it till you make it. But I always sat there like, if you fake it and make it, will you ever feel that you actually made it because you
Right.
faked your way there? And like, you don't have that true confidence. When you're your true, authentic self, people get value from that. People know this guy's speaking from his heart. That's what matters. And so, Jack, that's
Right.
what you do every time you hop on here and in front of an audience. So I appreciate that. And with you touching on your story, man, just like the last couple days, you are in and out of the hospital. You've explained to us here on the show before
Yeah.
how many surgeries you've had throughout your life, but it's that concept of, you mentioned it just now going over, and we talked over an hour ago, but so many people, not just men, but so many people don't want to be weak. They don't want to show weakness. And there are moments that you gave your own example. I can give my own examples too, of when all of the stress is just getting to you, whether it's health, whether it's business, for family, people listening, kids, whatever it is. And the stress is getting to you. And sometimes we just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And I've been there. I've numerous messages on YouTube about when I've been there, just keep going. I think something I always say to myself too is I can get down on myself for sure. And the just keep going is a mantra to say, but I hate saying just keep going because
Right.
I know when I say that I'm in a low place and I don't want to keep going. But if I'm gonna live on with the mask on, just not show my true colors, man, we all got bad days. We all got weaknesses. And it's not saying to people listening right now that you're meant to be weak. No, you are one of the strongest individuals in your entire life. And for people to take that and walk with that, walk in your strength. But know that when your ego is running the way, this is what Jack and I expanded on for the last hour. When your ego is leading the way, you aren't going to allow yourself or allow anyone else to see when you need support. And if you do not allow the support in, your stress is going to multiply. When your stress multiplies, your energy goes down. When your energy goes down, you eventually break. You eventually run to the dirt. And so Jack and I went over different forms of that and how these different mindsets and belief systems help people and in fact trip people up. And it's that concept. I think we all grew up on that. You're a true man if you keep going, if you don't give up, right? And then
Right. Right.
it's the ego talking for that matter.
Yeah. I think you and I alluded to this, but I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like we've both gotten really good at kind of the surface level
Mm-hmm.
basic stuff when it comes to like, you know, not being a victim and responding to adversity properly. But then a lot of the stuff we're talking about now is more like kind of below the surface, deeper
Yep,
level,
for sure.
unconscious, conscious behavior type of thing. And that's where I'll notice the key obviously is reflecting like we're doing, like we've been doing, and also on our own. But yeah, I think I don't know for sure, but I imagine if we weren't both men, we would be. We could use the word like, hey, what would a high level person, how would
Yeah.
they behave in a situation? Like, what should that look like? Or what would a powerful woman
Yeah.
do or lady do in this situation? So I think obviously there is a little bit of that when you grow up as a guy, as a
Mm-hmm.
boy. Like, you've got these kind of standards, expectations you're trying to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we talked about is dealing with the whole, like, I don't get anxious or stressed or cry about it when I have to rush to the hospital. I'm so used to that now. And like the pain, I don't panic anymore. I'm used to my pain tolerance. I feel like is really good. I'm used to that kind of stuff.
Right.
But what I'll notice is kind of the deeper level stuff that we talked about that I am personally working to get better at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll notice this with clients and people I speak to in audiences is my, I'll be honest, like we talked about before, my whole mindset is like, all right, a man should not appear I feel less of a man when I'm in the hospital because physically I'm weaker. Then I get this fat medical bill. So financially I'm weaker. And then my brain is stuck on those two things. So mentally, emotionally, I feel weaker. And that's obviously a pretty toxic stir the pot moment there if I don't snap out of it. And something that when you were talking about 30 minutes ago that I'll just tell the audience that it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks is just the reflection question of like, okay, how would a man or how would a high level individual respond to an emergency situation in the hospital? How would they respond to a new $7,000 medical bill? How would they respond to having to cancel on some clients because they're sick in the hospital? Being honest with those questions and then acting accordingly. And that's powerful. And that's something I don't catch myself every time with. And that's just a fact.
Mm,
But when I can, that's like where the real growth comes from.
for
So
sure.
that's been kind of the whole thing we've been kind of harping on today, is that whole idea of being really good at and reflecting and thinking about how are you thinking, how you're acting, what are you believing, what's the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah. Anyways, that was a lot of word salad, but
No, for sure. But no,
that's kind of my most recent example. You know, I am so used to it's kind of funny, but Monday was just like another Monday. Emergency, rush to the hospital with severe. I mean, I was like white. I remember when I went in, I told them, "Can you guys just punch me in the face and knock me out?" Like but I'm so used to it. You know, I've had over 800 days in the hospital, 25 surgeries, a gazillion situations of bladder stones and kidney infections. So that wasn't hard for me. But the ego side of it and the how should this look as a man, as a high level person, that's where that struggle comes in every once in a while. And that's something personally I'm trying to work on more and more.
Yeah, no, for sure. And for people listening right now, to take that into your own life, and if those questions come to mind, they're going to bring in answers. But it's a matter of what questions you're asking yourself. You know,
You
and
know
Jack
the
and I,
truth deep down. You know the truth. It's, are
yeah,
you willing to admit it and accept it and really go there?
hmm
You
right.
know that, you know the answers.
For sure. And I think that's where the ego comes into play, because if you know what's underneath, but you're not willing to face what's underneath, you're going to keep pursuing in whatever pops into your mind, or whatever. If we want to use the example of, we don't want to be weak, and this looks weak, even though it's not weak at all. But how we grew up, our belief systems, what we saw on TV, what movies, what people, role models we put up there for ourselves growing up. Would so and so act like this? When so and so act like this, well, you aren't so and so. It's a self reflection process. I know we're just kind of throwing a bunch of words at people, but it comes back to the belief systems that you stand on. And are you willing to change those belief systems? Are you willing to allow new belief systems in? And I think, Jack, you and I touched on one that resonated with me last week. And for people listening right now, last Sunday's message was this: the year 9 anniversary episode was where a mentor of mine told me the phrase, "Don't chase the carrot on the stick, drop the stick and eat the meal." And it's so simple, but so profound. And people can go expand on that with, I think it was a 10-minute message last Sunday for people who can quickly listen to it. But it's that concept where we're the ones striving for the goal of the carrot on the stick, but we're the ones holding the stick and holding the goal. So if that carrot is how I'm supposed to look, if that carrot is the finances I'm supposed to be bringing in, if that carrot is the level I'm supposed to reach in my business, and or what my life is supposed to look like right now, truthfully speaking, that carrot is being built off of the ego. It's great to have goals. You are supposed to strive to your goals. For sure, we are taught that from a young age. We live that now. However, when we understand that phrase, don't chase the carrot on the stick, drop the stick and eat the meal, what that means is, if we're the ones holding what we are striving for, drop it, eat the meal, be who you say you are. Be who you want to be in this moment. Align to that, and then walk it out as that. So, in the topic of, I'll pass off to you in a second, Jack. And the
You're good.
topic of the weakness or the strength concept, if you're asking yourself the question of how would so and so respond to this, well, how can I respond to this as my high level self, as the best version of me, the highest version of me? How can I respond now? That might be a different answer than what you asked, and then what the first question was. I'll pass it off to you right now, Jack.
Yeah, just on top of that, the way you said it about 30 minutes ago was that, but the way you said it helped me visualize even more. I'm a huge visual person.
Mm.
If you're the one, and we all are, we're the one always holding the stick with our carrot,
Yep.
whatever your carrot is. And I'm curious, I think it'd be helpful if you might have already done this in the previous podcast, but
Mhm.
if we're the one holding the stick with the carrot in front of us, you said, then we're always behind it.
Mm.
And
Right.
that visual in my head, I feel like for the past month and a week, however long we're into the new year now, a month and a couple of days,
Mhm.
I've been behind my carrot. I'm holding the stick
Right.
and I'm constantly chasing. I'm not thinking, acting, behaving, or believing as if I'm that person.
Yeah. Mm.
It's
Right.
always in front of me, and I'm never quite there. It's like right at the tip of my fingertips. And
Yep.
the way you said it, like then you're always behind it. To me,
Yep.
that visual, that's boom. That's 30 minutes ago what totally had a light bulb go
Yeah.
off for me. And I think
No,
that's
for sure.
powerful for everyone listening to this. It sounds like you've already talked on it, but I think everyone, if they're 18, 30, 50, man, woman, whatever you want to be called, everyone, I think if we're honest, we have something as our carrot or multiple things as our carrot. What does that look like for you? And are you thinking, acting, believing, behaving as if you're that person or as if that's you now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a really powerful thought exercise and kind of just thing for everyone to do, which I have not specifically done until you brought it up. So I know I've got some homework to do once we get off this, but I love that analogy of you're always behind it. If you're the one always, if you don't drop the stick and eat the meal, you're always going to be behind it.
Right. And think of it in this sense, where if you're always behind it, you never, if that carrot is who you want to be and you're always behind it, you will never achieve that. And so the goal is for us to understand, and this connects to other areas. For people listening, this connects to spiritual areas, biblical areas, connects to law of attraction, universal concepts, because if there's a scripture that sticks out to me, which says, believe it is already done. You know, if you believe it is already done, that means having faith that it is here now. That's why in the Bible, when Jesus healed someone, they asked, do you believe? Essentially. And so if when you believe that it's already done here and now, you're aligned to that goal that you were at one time striving for, but you don't need to strive anymore because you are it. And when you are it, your emotion changes, your energy changes, what manifests and blesses you in your life changes, because you're operating now out of the energy of who you claim to be, who you wanted to be, but you are now. So life needs to respond to the new energy you put out there. And that's just the science behind our energy put out to the world. But Jack, it connects to something else that you said in our talk earlier, which I'm going to use your example, and I think people are going to resonate very much with it. You mentioned when you were venting about how, the medical stuff is getting a lot. It's like, and so you said to yourself, you said to me, it's like, sometimes I just think to myself, can I keep doing this for X amount of years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is? But then you also said, what I want to emphasize now is sometimes I always feel like I take one step forward and 3 steps back. And I said, what did you miss along the way that was 3 steps back? And if you learn the lesson that you missed, you won't have to go backwards anymore. And so I think that connects to this don't chase the carrot on the stick concept as well. Because if we're always behind it, in some concepts, let me learn these lessons now so I can become this version of myself. But if life knocks us back another 3 steps, we could have missed something. So we need to retrace, learn again, pick back up, go a different way so we can then move forward so we don't get knocked down anymore.
I agree. I think, that's exactly right. And that's exactly what the fact that you're able to kind of call that out was so helpful for me to see that. At the same time, I think I'm not 100% embracing and accepting life the way it is. If I was, I don't feel like I would feel like I'm taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. I'm resisting the reality of what's happening because I think I know in my head, whether consciously or unconsciously, I have an expectation of how this day should go or this week should go or how a man should act or how a high-level person should act and live. And when that doesn't happen because of really chronic health issues I have, there's a part of me that sets myself up for failure. And I would imagine a lot of people can relate to that. I think it's just like anything else. If you have super high expectations for a first date, the chances of it going exactly like you want it to go, pretty slim to none. So you're almost already going to leave there feeling worse about it than if you just went in there with open to any option possible and you're not going to fight it. Life is the way it is, and you are willing to be intentional about your response to what happens. And I think that's part of it too. That's part of the deeper level of, I think I am in a way doing like the definition of insanity. Every time I have an illness or sickness where I go so the last week of the year and the first week of the new year, I had 2 kidney infections back to back. And I can think back and I know exactly how I was thinking. I had an expectation of how the end of the year was supposed to go and how the beginning of the year was supposed to go. So in my mind, I'm like, God, I'm 4 spots back now. It's like in the game Sorry, you're moving back, or Monopoly, whatever game you want to use.
Right.
So that's part of it. But there's also even a deeper level, like you said, where there's something there that we can all kind of tap into. And it takes self-discovery, guidance, a coach, et cetera.
For sure. And that's exactly it. And like self-discovery is the answer. But in some of us, we are focused so much on external factors that we don't realize everything is built out of the internal. So when we
Right.
focus on that self-discovery and we focus on the internal factors of not health, but my beliefs and what I believe.
Right.
So if you mentioned the examples, the expectations, whether it's the date or whether it's your own day in life, or you go into the hospital expecting it to go one way and it goes another way. You're focusing on the future, carrot on the stick. You're focusing outward,
Exactly right.
right? So if you're focusing outward, and then when you and I are discussing, I explained the concept of, which is, for people listening, I understand this can be tough to grasp at times, but wrap your mind around this. This is the process of self-discovery. When we are struggling from a health issue, it could very well be built off of a past fear, pain, trauma, or something innate inside of us that our body creates it because we have to heal it. And if we don't heal whatever that past pain, trauma, etc. was, it's very possible that that pain continues to pop up. So when Jack and I were conversing about this going back and forth, I explained the area of if we're living and expecting so far ahead and we're not in this moment aligned to the wholeness, the healing, the health, and the strength that we are, not that we want, that we are in this very moment, our body is going to constantly be pushing forward, striving, stressing to get to the next thing, which could be telling it to stay stressed, which could be telling it to stay sick. So our goal is then to go deep, self-discovery, as Jack said, go into the internal and really realize, all right, what do I actually believe that I can heal from this? Do I actually believe that I'm healthy? Do I actually believe that I'm whole, I'm healed up, I'm strong? Do I actually believe that at my core? Or Jack, you and I said the example of when someone gets the news from the doctor that um, they are might be diagnosed with something and they accept it, and now their entire life changes because of they accepted what someone told them. So their belief systems change to now this is my life. So now your body adapts to that belief system and connects it, rather than I've had incredible friends that I would love to have them on here that have been diagnosed with to the point of stage 4 heart disease and were given a week to live. And that was 14 years ago because they didn't accept what one person said. They took it into their own hands and said, all right, I understand I need doctors to check up on me, but my beliefs make up who I am. And if they were given a week to live and that was 14 years ago, I'm going to meet them for coffee this week, something tells me that something changed where their willpower, their personal power, their belief systems are guiding the way. So for people listening right now, much like Jack did earlier, take that concept into your own life. And it might not be health and healing for you. It could be your goals that we said earlier. It could be the carrot on the stick. It could be something, but you have to believe at your core that you are this healed, whole, successful, abundant, financially blessed, whatever it is. When you believe at your core, as I said earlier, your energy shifts and the external is then impacted from the internal. It's where everything stems from.
And on top of that, I believe with my entire heart, and here comes back to belief again, so maybe this is skewed. You cannot only think yourself into a better version of yourself and your true authentic self, and you have to also act.
True. Yep.
So to that point, once you believe those things and have those thoughts, the action has to follow. I have a tattoo on the back of my arm that says "Acta non verba," action over words, action over deeds. And so the energy you get from kind of discovering that belief and then switching that and rethinking that, then taking action on that. That's how you build the confidence. That's how it seems more real.
Yeah.
And I know you know that. I was even just thinking about now, the diagnosis that was given to me, you have chronic kidney disease. Every time I say, oh yeah, I have chronic, it's like my brain convincing my body, oh yeah, it's chronic. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm just telling myself it's always going to be chronic.
It's never ending. Yep.
It's exactly. A chronic thing every day.
Yep.
As opposed to, you know what I mean? Rethinking that. And I'm basically having that self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. It's like, the person who, I gave this example when we were talking before we started recording. It's like, hey, I'm bad with names. I'm always bad with names. Well, if you say that, you're always going to be. It's kind of the same with your health or other areas of your life. So I think you're exactly right. I'm curious, selfishly, where your thoughts are on this, and I'm sure people listening will get value from this. This whole, I think a lot of people can understand and comprehend what we're talking about in regards to, are you acting, thinking, believing, behaving? Is your energy, is your frequency like the person now that's on that stick, that carrot in front of you. How often, like for me, I know I have to do stuff consistently throughout the day. It can't just be like only in the morning. So I
Mm.
know for me, from my own past experiences, the best way I can get better at that is constant daily reminders throughout the day. So my reticular activating system in my brain can remind me to be like, all right, snap out of it. Let's get back. Are you living like the person you're striving to become? That
Mm.
question right there, I know if that pops up on my phone throughout the day, that will stop in my tracks right there. So that I know that's what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what will, otherwise, I'll do it maybe once or twice in a week, which is not enough to
Right.
change. I'm
Mm.
curious your thoughts. Like, how have you best gotten better at that? So my example, I know now I'm going to put some reminders on my phone, some sticky notes on my mirror. So the next time I am in the hospital, I can
Mm-hmm.
ask myself those. I can drop the stick and eat the meal.
Yeah.
I can behave as if I'm this high level person, as opposed to coming from a place of I feel weak
Mm.
physically, financially, whatever. So I'm
Right.
curious, what do you that for me? I would imagine is going to work best because that's what's worked best in the past.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? How can someone get better at that?
Yeah.
Because I
For
think
sure.
tapping into that, like during our conversation, is amazing. But what happens 4 hours from now,
Yes.
when life happens, right?
Yeah.
What
Right.
do you think? Because I know for me, it's got to be repetition. Like
Yeah.
anything else I've learned in life, repetition, repetition, repetition.
Yeah. And no, you basically summed it up right there in your explanation, but the reticular activating system, we need to be able to have repetition in our life to change how this operates. For people listening right now, I'm pointing to my brain in the sense of how your brain operates, how it's wired changes based off of repetition and you basically allowing a new action to be concrete. But Jack, you also touched on words. And I've said this to you before. I've said it on the show before. In my workshops and my gigs, one of the areas I touch on is the internal dialogue, what you say to yourself. And if you're that, if you, people have to check up on themselves to realize, like I always say, what are the three statements that run through your mind on a daily basis? And most people don't check up on that. And if they don't check up, very good chance the three things aren't the best. When they actually ask them that in gigs, some people are like, oh, actually, they beat themselves up. They tear themselves down because those three statements are usually negative. Well, if you're saying these negative things to yourself, then you're telling yourself you're negative. You're telling yourself your life is negative. So you see it in your life. So checking up on those areas for sure, internal dialogue, actually getting clear on what you say to yourself, but things people can actually do. I used to, back in the day before I really stepped into this stuff, I never really made a vision board. But Jack, you basically said it exactly. When it pops up on your phone and you see it, that's the point of the vision board. Yes, you people take what they want in their life there. But what I did way back when this happened was I was going through such a terrible time in my life in so many areas that what I did was I didn't make a vision board. I made like a vision closet because when I woke up every single day, the first thing I saw next to my bed was the closet. So I took all these pictures of what I wanted my life to become that it is. And I put these pictures, printed them offline, put them on the wall. So every single day when I woke up, the first thing I saw was my life. Not what I want it to be, was my life. And I began to believe that that was it. And it changes the energy you put out there. Now you're walking in that form. But as much as a vision board is an external factor, something that probably has changed my mind more than anything else is I've said my routine here on the show before, but when I wake up every single day, the alarm goes off, I turn it off, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to the gym. First thing I do is I thank God for the day. So I start my day in gratitude. I'm just like, hey, thank you, Lord, for this great day. I'm so appreciative of all these great blessings that are in store. Because what I'm doing is I'm setting my intention to look for the great things in the day. I'm setting my intention for the blessings to come in. And so then I, brush my teeth, do what I got to do. On the way to the gym, I say another prayer. And I'm implying that it's already done, but I'm thanking God for the strength and protection during the lift. Meaning I'm tossing weight. Jack, I'm like, Jack, people don't know, Jack might be in the hospital all the time, but he tosses weight around in the gym in all these different lifts, whether it's the cleans or the squats or whatever, he's tossing weight around. Former CrossFit athlete. But for me, this is going to connect to you, Jack. I am already thanking God for the wholeness, the health, the healing, the strength throughout the day. So I'm implying that I'm already whole, healthy, healed up, and strong throughout the day. I'm walking in that. And then when people ask, Bill, why are you so positive? It's because my start of the day is already prepped. It's already done. So the reticular activating system, much as you touched on, Jack, My mind has been doing that probably for 7 straight years. So it's ingrained in here that my life's great, that my life's always getting better and better and better. That even on days where something happens, it catches me for a moment and it's like, all right, just keep going. Because I always know there's another blessing around the corner. I always am looking forward, yes, to the future, but I'm looking forward to a bright future because I am bright here now in the present. So I'm guiding and walking forward in that. And that's where the brain catches that and goes, oh, well, he's been doing this so much. I guess it's real. Because your brain believes what you tell it.
100%.
Right? And so we could tell it one thing and believe it. We can sit there and watch the news and watch all the fear-based concepts that push into the world right now and believe it. But it's your choice if you accept it or not. You have to tell yourself it's true, and it's true.
I love how I can already tell. I know for me, my biggest wins will be starting and ending my day like that.
Mm.
I think that, in my opinion, that's where you got to start. I think for me, it's a little naive to expect myself or anyone listening to this to master this throughout every hour of the day initially.
Mm.
So I think for me, I know for sure starting tonight at night, my last 30 minutes and my first 30 minutes of consciousness, being awake, that's where I want to really get there first. Obviously, ideally throughout the day as well, tap into that belief system, those thoughts, those frequencies, the energy, and then act accordingly, which is obviously the key final step. But I love how you said you started your day like that.
Mm-hmm.
We alluded to it before we started recording, ending the day too. I know I've tried to get really specific and intentional about what am I thinking about as I'm literally falling asleep and becoming unconscious, right? That to me was super helpful. Even if no one else got anything from that, I love that. That's where I'm going to start is really dominate beginning and end, and then obviously the middle will come. And I'm sure, as you know, as you said, it's been 7 years.
It's constant.
I know for any of us, it's not, you weren't born with some special, unique superpower. I like to think you're just as capable as myself or Sally or Bob who's watching or listening. Right. Yeah, with repetition and practice, it kind of becomes, I hate the term, but like your new normal. You know what I mean?
It's true.
It's just your natural state of being, and so that's huge. I like that a lot. Yeah. Because like I said, I feel like I've gotten a PhD on the surface level stuff of, how do I respond to the initial adversity and deal with pain or when life doesn't happen that I want it to. But then below that is how should a high level person react, or the feelings of like insecurity because as a man I don't want to feel weak, and that's where we all can get better at. And like I said, that's this past week I've really had that kind of come to Jesus moment. Like, all right, that's for me the next step is to master that and get good at that.
Yeah. No,
I like looking at it as assessing, reflecting, and starting to do these things with compassionate curiosity. Because you used the word forgiveness a couple hours ago when we were talking. That prevents you from like shitting on yourself. Yep. When you have compassionate curiosity, then you're looking at like, hey, why do I think like that? Why do I behave this way? From a place of curiosity, as opposed to like, what the hell are you doing, you idiot? Yeah,
it's true.
So that's cool. I like that. That the morning, you basically said it, but yeah, the morning and the evening, I think that's where I'm going to selfishly start when it comes to some of this really tough, not tough, but kind of higher level thought processes and mindset and beliefs and frequency stuff.
Yeah, and that's the goal of everyone right now. We'll start to round this out because I know we got a couple minutes left for Jack. But I'll say this to kind of round out this concept. Starting your day and your day, it's perfect. That's what you want to do. There are people in the world that start their day with meditation and end their day with meditation. But those are the moments where your brain waves, if we really want to get into the scientific neuropsychology aspect of it, your brain waves are either fluctuating from beta, alpha, gamma, all these different areas, theta, I should say. It's fluctuating in all these areas. So when you wake up, you're still in a dream state. So your brain is operating at a certain level. So when you set your intention right when you wake up, whether I say a prayer, whether you sit there and like, God, today's going to be a phenomenal day. I'm getting so much done today. I'm going to be healthy today. I'm going to be whole today. Whatever it is, your brain adapts to it because it's at that level. And so when that becomes a repetition, it becomes part of your being. As Jack said, it's your routine. It's your disciplines. I have a client, give him a shout out, Jack. He's killing it. Another Jack. A young kid. He's on his come up in the world with his goals and everything like that. I give him the most credit in the world. He is driven for new disciplines. He wants to better his life. And he's trying to. And this is something we dive into where how do you start your day? How do you end your day? When do you start your day? When do you end your day? And when we sit there, and Jack, you and I touched on this earlier, we set our intention for our day. We set our intention for ourselves. The amount of people, and I think the concept, we're just going to put it out there now, is intention deficit disorder. People that live their life with no intentions and just react to what life throws their way. And so many people just react to life. They don't respond to life. They don't direct life with their intentions. They just react to everything that catches their eye, that tosses them this way, and then their life becomes that discipline because all they do is hectic. So life gets used to being hectic. It's the new norm, the term you use, Jack. So for people listening right now, you can take that to yourself, but set your intention for your day. And Jack, you said you like to be intentional when you go to sleep at night. You're saying your intention for what you want your brain to think on when you're sleeping. When you go into your
Right.
unconscious, it's going to focus on this. So what some people can do is they can go to YouTube and they can look up affirmations. Just there's 12-hour long videos of affirmations. And when you sit there and you put it on when you're sleeping, it's built at such a frequency, you're going to hear the words, but when you're sleeping to it, those affirmations become part of your brain now. And it's very powerful because it's all frequency. But this is a deep concept for people, but take it step by step, just by starting with saying your intention for the day and then trusting that that is your anchor for the day. No matter what comes around, you're staying put right there. And yes, you're going to focus on other things, but your mind is already focused on its focal point no matter what's going on underneath it. And that, to put a period on this, is, Jack, you touched on, it's like higher thinking, it's higher consciousness, everything. When we allow ourselves a moment, whether it's in meditation, whether it's with our journal or writing, whether it's, Jack, you and I touched on that, I like to go in the woods, go for a drive. You'd like to do the drive, everything like this. When you have a moment to yourself and you can rejuvenate, you can rest. If you ask the right questions, you connect to your higher self, your higher consciousness. So you receive guidance in that moment about what this is going to do. Not many of us think like that. So we just sit and scroll through Instagram and Facebook, which is totally fine, but we have to realize how much power we have as individuals, and we can use that power to connect. And when we connect, we receive what we need, but we start to believe that we are. It's the best thing we can do.
100%. Yeah, and I just wanted to I want to make sure it's clear. There's a difference between setting your intentions and setting your expectations.
Yes.
Because in the morning, if I'm intentional about what I expect to happen, that's where I'm just setting myself up for failure. I just want to clarify because I know we talked about that earlier in the episode. That's different than priming your nervous system in the morning, where your brain and your body is the most impressionable. And that brainwave in the first 30 minutes of you being awake, setting your intention of how you're going to think, act, and your frequency and energy for the day. So no matter what happens, you've had this intention built in. I know you know that, and you said that. I just want to make sure people don't think I'm being a hypocrite, because there's a difference for sure.
For sure.
And that's exactly right. Everything you said, I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely uncomfortable because there's times when you ask yourself the right questions, like when you go outside nature and go for a walk. When I love driving with instrumental music, no words, the windows down, and then I'll start to I pull over in a parking lot, I'll write or type my phone. When I ask myself, just basically the question from earlier this week, hey, how would a high-level person respond in the situation? I know the answer. There's plenty of times I don't feel like doing that still. You know what I mean?
Right.
I right away, my gut knows this is exactly how this type of person would think and respond and behave. There's so often though, I still feel like, I don't really want to do that, or it's uncomfortable to think about the truth. And that's the key. You've got to continue to push past that and then actually act on it. Because, like you said, hey, what are the 3 consistent thoughts you're having throughout the day? I think a lot of people that make them uncomfortable, they actually had to sit down and think about that.
Yep. Right.
But the more you think about it and the more you don't fight the truth and then you behave and act on that, it's not uncomfortable at all, because you're used to it. You're used to facing yourself. And that's, I think, a great summation, like what you were talking about for this episode. And I know a lot of this can get kind of fuzzy and confusing potentially. I feel like sometimes when I talk about some of this stuff, it can come across as word salad. I think for me, I come back to just the KISS method: keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
So I know for me, when it comes to all this stuff we've touched on, my first step is to win the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes of my day.
Nice. Yep.
And that is going to be, in my mind, that's where I start, and then I can start to attack, the daytime, lunch, etc.
Yeah.
In regards to everything we've talked about.
Right. No, that's perfect. I agree with that. Keeping it simple. And if people right now listen, First 30 minutes, first 10 minutes, last 30 minutes, last 10 minutes. Start where it works for you, but give yourself that time. You owe it to yourself and your life to give yourself a moment to you. And I think more and more people live in the go, go, go mentality where they don't got time for themselves. Or when we do,
Yeah,
we search elsewhere.
I tell you what, and I'm 30. It's if for example, for 28 years I've been doing the same thing at night and the same thing in the morning, it's going to be there's going to be some resistance there, and it's going to
Yep.
be very foreign and uncomfortable initially. But I think deep down most people can acknowledge and tap into, yeah, this will be really good for me if I can start to do better in those moments. And that's where I come back to is there's plenty of nights and plenty of mornings where I don't feel like starting my day like that. But every time I have, it is nothing but aces and spades,
Yeah, for sure. No, I
Yeah.
think it's perfect. And I want to be respectful of your time, Jack. So we're going to close this thing out now. But I know we touched on so many areas, whether it's the belief systems or our ego or what we stand by or health, wholeness, healing, and strength or the intentions we set. We touched on a lot in such a short amount of time. But that's why I love having Jack on for people listening. And if you haven't checked out our other episodes, please go do, because Jack and I dive into a lot of different areas. It's been such a great connection with you, Jack, of one, the speaking industry, getting to know you, and guaranteed, as we always say, we're going to be on stage together when the time comes. But
Absolutely.
these conversations, this is the stage right now that people can learn from us and grow from us. So I hope people listening and watch right now, you can take something from it and apply it. Discipline yourself. As much as discipline can be a tough word for people, help yourself out enough to implement this into your own life. One of these areas we touched on. But Jack, I thank you for being here, man. Is there any lasting messages you want to leave with anyone? And we kind of rounded everything out.
Yeah. The last thing I just would say is this is not just for men; it's for anyone out there. But I think you can look at any situation in your life. Like think right now, Billy. Like what's the biggest obstacle or the most recent piece of adversity you've faced? I think it comes back to how would a high level person respond to this situation.
Right.
If we can take a second to assess that and act accordingly, that's a game changer. Just that simple question right there. We talked about this in the past, but questions pull us closer to our truth. Answers push us farther away. And like always telling people what to do as opposed to asking and trying to draw yourself closer. So that's kind of what I would say is in the summation is like how would a high level person respond in this situation? So
perfect.
Right there, boom, and then act accordingly. That classic. I'm sure you've heard it, but the whole thing where probably 10 years ago, Joe Rogan said, "Pretend like there's a camera crew following you around throughout the day." I guarantee you're going to act differently tomorrow if you had a documentary crew following around throughout the entire day. You're not going to sit there and waste 30 minutes bullshitting on your phone because it's going to be weird to have that camera crew right there watching you. You're going to want to be productive and act like the person who's at the end of that stick you're holding. So drop the stick and eat the meal.
That's a very, very good imagery right there. That's awesome. I love it. Tell them where they can find you, Jack.
Yeah, so my new website is done actually. Last time I was on here, I had a really crappy, 6th grade version of it. So it's jacksernett.com. Social media, Facebook is just my name, Jack Sernett, and then Instagram is I am Jack Sernett. LinkedIn, my name. TikTok, if that's even a thing anymore, my name. All the above. And then if they want an email, I do respond to emails for other podcasts or just conversations, and contact@jacksernett.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Everyone, all those are going to be in the credits of this video they're about to roll. They're going to be in the YouTube description. But I thank you for being here. Please like this message on YouTube. That number is going up, which means if the likes go up, YouTube takes it and shares it to more people that can help. Share this message to someone who you feel needs to hear it. If anyone pops in your mind that they might be struggling or might need to hear this, share it to them. It's a clear-cut sign to you that someone could use this as well. Reach out a hand and give them this video, not to share Jack or myself, but to help someone else out. And please subscribe to Once a Week if you have not already. Keep that number going. It means we're helping more people. And if you're in need of a coach who can help in the areas discussed today, head to BillyGLifeCoaching.com. You can set up a free call with me. I'll be right there for you. And check out in the description all these other tools we're bringing to you, these different resources. We got a new newsletter coming out for you. You can sign up right for it with the link in the description. But once again, Jack, I thank you for being here, man. I love our conversations, and I'm grateful for our conversations.
Right back at you. Congrats on 9 years, I believe, right, of the show.
Right.
And happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.
know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Boo signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even have a deal. Yeah, I battle through these bars, yeah, I always bunk a hill. I know that any city I go in, that I be flyer than Logan, and I be flying high.